Hi there, Chris Warren-Dickins, psychotherapist in Ridgewood, New Jersey. At the moment, there's a lot of uncertainty out there. We turn on the news and there's back-to-back coverage of an impending election. That's causing a lot of relationship conflict because people are adopting different sides in the debate. There's also a lot of anxiety building and depression. There's a global pandemic, and there's a lot of things that are changing beyond recognition. So, how do we handle all of this? How do we make ourselves feel better? It's not just a selfish thing to want to feel better. We need a secure base to help other people. We need a secure and resilient base to help our children, our partners, our friends, and our family, and wider society. One of the biggest things is to focus on what we can change. We need to problem solve. So what we can change, we need to focus on how we can go about achieving that change. And the stuff that we cannot change, we need to put it aside. One of the ways that we can put aside stuff that we can't change is called radical acceptance. Marsha Linehan created this type of therapy called DBT, or dialectical behavior therapy. It doesn't really matter what it's called. The point is that she conceptualized this idea of radical acceptance. So we look at things that we can change and go ahead and change those, or try and change those, problem solve. But once we identify things that we can't change, then accept that we cannot change those things. She gave this simple formula that, yes, there are things that we won't be able to change, and that will cause us emotional pain. But if we also then refuse to accept that emotional pain, we're increasing that emotional pain. So we'll have emotional pain and the distress of not accepting that, and then we'll have a lot of distress. So if we just accept, yes, we're going to have emotional pain. Yes, we're going to have things that we cannot change in life. Then we can radically accept that and then move on. Radical acceptance involves acceptance all the way. So you do it with your body, with your mind, with your brain, with your heart. So an example might be if you're living with someone who has very different views than you, and it really, really annoys you. You could decide to try and change their views, and that's okay. That's in the problem solving category. But once you realize you spent years and years trying to change their views and they're never going to change, then you have to make a decision. If you want to live with that person, you have to radically accept that you're going to live with them and they're going to have these views, and you have to radically accept that they are going to be different to yours. So whenever you think of that person, you need to radically accept them in your body, in your brain. You can just think positive thoughts about them. Maybe fake a smile all the way so that you're just accepting that's who they are. Then you may be able to reduce the emotional distress about that person. So with all the stress that's going on in the world, first identify what you can problem solve, and then secondly, what you can't change in life, radically accept that all the way. Thirdly, one way to deal with all this stress is to identify things in your life where you have control over those things. You have certainty in your life in certain respects. So with the global pandemic, this has caused a lot of stress because things have become so uncertain, so unfamiliar. But not everything has changed. There are certain corners in your life where you can look to and say, yes, I still recognize that. That little corner in my life is something to reassure me. Another way to accept the stress in your life is to give yourself permission to turn off from global events. I now choose not to unwind in the evening after client sessions by turning on CNN or any other news network. I actually quite like watching Real Housewives of New Jersey or New York or Potomac, just to be able to just de-stress and not think about real situations. Even though that is reality TV, it's not really real. So find your way of turning off. You don't have to keep up with the news at every moment. I know there are things that need to change in the world, and we need to keep up with global events, but not at every moment. Perhaps allow yourself 1 or 2 hours a day, preferably not right before you go to sleep. And that includes social media. Surfing on your phone constantly will keep your brain going when actually that doesn't help anybody. So I don't know whether any of those things are helpful to you, but if you need to clarify anything, ping me an email or send me a message on my website via the contact page, and I can clarify any of that. Take care of yourself.